Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Sue Ellis-Saller, and I'm from Spiritual Business Spotlight. And today I am really excited to be talking finally with Lissa Boswell. Hello, Lissa. Welcome.
Hi, Sue. Hi, everyone.
So you have such a rich, fabulous background, history, knowledge of tarot, divination, Lenormand, and really, you started out life with this background. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started?
Right, well, obviously, my name is Lissa Boswell. I was born into a family of fortune tellers and diviners. My family are Romany Gypsy. I always had a draw towards divination. I think that even my sisters, they were sort of into it, but they were never really into it as much as what I was into it. So from when I was like 7, I began reading tarot cards with my sister's cards, and then that was it. I just took on more and more methods of divination as I got older, and here I am now.
How do you read for people?
Usually when I perform readings, I tend to use Lenormand cards. So I'll do like a grand tableau. And one of the reasons why is that I think it's because there's something about Lenormand that it's not as restrictive, I don't think, as reading like tarot cards. Like a snake has its meaning, but it could be anything when read in combination. So I like to perform a grand tableau when I first meet someone. And then if they have a specific question, I'll use like tarot for specific questions. Because I think that tarot's more, even though I do predict with tarot, I think that by its nature, it's more advisory than Lenormand cards tend to be.
Yeah. Well, Lenormand, I feel like, is really on point. It's just like a sentence. It's just like this, that, this.
It's very specific. I think that I'd say probably the difference is that Lenormand will predict matter-of-fact day-to-day events. Mm-hmm. And tarot is able to say if something is major or life-changing or part of your greater plan or whatever.
Oh, I like that. I like the way that you explain that. And you just did a really big survey about different types of divination and fortune telling. And that was really cool. So
yeah.
You brought in some that I didn't even hear of before. What's kind of the most odd one that you've come across?
There's quite a lot of odd methods of divination and fortune telling. Like, for example, there's a method that uses the ground, but it's based on the way that animals walk across that ground. So say if you're a farmer and you've got a bit of land, you can, from the pattern that a fox has moved its feet across the ground, you can make predictions based on the fox's movement.
Really?
So that's one that's quite, but I see how that could work. I see how that could work, especially if you're into like astrology or things like that. I can see how it would work. But it's quite funny because I think that if you don't know a lot about divination, all methods of divination seem unlike each other. But then once you begin to know a lot about different methods, even more like unusual methods of divination, you'll realise that they are very similar. Like if someone can interpret dreams, especially symbolically, if someone can interpret dreams, they're very likely to be able to read teacups, crystal balls, because it's similar symbolism. And I think that because when I learned Lenormand, I picked it up like really quickly, like within a couple of days. And I think that it's because I knew the symbolism already because I could interpret dreams before I learned how to read Lenormand. So picking it up was not as difficult. So the more you become experienced as a diviner, the more that you realise that all methods of divination are pretty much the same.
Right. And I like the way that you described that, because a lot of us think there's a difference between the symbolism in dream interpretation, or the symbolism in what you scry in cups, or here they do like lead, you melt lead at the new year and you throw it in a cup, and then you see what animal or character you get out of that. But a lot of times it's even clouds or shapes in trees or whatever. As long as you're picking up that information, your subconscious is somehow giving you a message.
One thing that after I'd done the survey, I've received maybe a dozen emails off of people who've told me that they would make predictions of events based on birds, say when they've seen birds or the way that birds moved or whatever, and they just thought that they were weirdos. Like, they never thought that there was an actual word for it or that other people done it or whatever. And I was really surprised. It's actually very common. People would email me and they'll just say, I never knew there was a name for that. I never knew that other people done that.
Right.
They're like, I don't feel weird anymore. And I'm like, yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's totally cool. And you're lucky to have had an unbroken line in your lineage that brought predictive and allowed for that to be expressed in your home, because a lot of people, were just scared.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so lucky. I say that to my mum and my granny. Like, me and my granny on the granny that I'm talking about, she's not a diviner, but she is into it. Do you know what I mean? She's interested in it. And me and her will go like crystal ball shopping or whatever. And I'm like, I can't believe this compared to other people that I've met. And it's funny because they don't know that other people are really like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'll say to them, oh, this person online said this, that their family done this or done that. And they're like, that's just unbelievable that people would turn against their relatives for reading cards. Like,
Right.
It's just, it's unreal. But I think, especially like from the business aspect, I think that a lot of people assumed that because I had this like background or whatever, that business was going to be really easy for me. Like, I would meet people and they would say, oh, you're so lucky, like you have this background and this experience. And when you're running your business, it's a lot easier. I've got to start from the start. And that's not actually true either. Like, people think, oh, that folk would book me for that reason, but that's not actually true. Like, at first, I even struggled with like business and stuff.
Well, I've seen you. I mean, you work hard and you have got your stuff together, and you've really, kind of put a lot of effort into creating websites that are really valuable tools for people who are just starting out.
Yeah, I think that because when I first came online, I had this problem that a lot of people didn't take me seriously. And part of it was because of my background. So
Really?
I would get people like commenting on my posts saying things like, no one will take you seriously if you've not got a degree. And people were advising me if I wanted to write books or whatever, I was to go and get a degree. And, because at the time that I came online, we're talking like 2014, it was a bit of a fashion for tarot readers especially to go and get history degrees or to go and get art degrees. And I actually had felt the pressure to do that. I had looked up like universities and stuff like that, and thank God I'd went to another reader, and I never told her about it. She was reading me and she told me, she was like, don't ever go to university because it's not. And I was like, I was considering doing that. She says you don't need it. I was like, right.
Right. Yeah, but from what I've seen, I mean, you're really devoted to the work, and you have been for a really long time. And you're also very devoted to educating people about divination and how divination can be used in their lives and be used very easily. So I see that as like a blessing from you.
Yeah, I always tell my students, I say to them, like, divination is not a practice. If you approach divination as a practice, something that you just do, your readings aren't going to be that great. Like, it has to be a lifestyle. Being a diviner is a lifestyle. So say when I get up in the morning, right? I get up in the morning, I sort of sit and I have my think. And if I'm struggling with something, I'll ask my spirits for a sign. I'll tell my relatives about my dreams. Like, honestly, it's a lifestyle. It's not something that, even down to, say, cleaning products I buy. I'll only buy cleaning products that have things in them that I know that my ancestors liked. Do you know what I mean? And it sounds
Right.
so, other people, that sounds insane. But to me, it's really important. That's part of my life. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
that's the number one thing, is that you always try to be a diviner. Don't try to be a reader, because there is a difference. If you're a reader, your divination is not a part of your life. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I agree with what you're saying too, because there's just this openness and living the life and breathing divination and breathing, and using it for yourself. Because when you just sit down, there are people who just sit down and they read,
Mm-hmm.
and they cut it, they open the session, they cut it, and that is, but for people like us, like you and like me, there's never a time when I'm not kind of open to getting a message or to getting a sign and using it for myself too. So I think that's a really valid point. Like you live it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've done things like, I've completely changed my life based on, like, seeing a bee. Honest to God, seeing a sign. Do you know what I mean? I'll make major life-changing decisions based on a sign, and people think that it's insane. Honest to God, like, people think I am nuts. And I was getting loads of signs when I first established Divination and Fortune Telling as a website. I was getting tons of signs that on the direction to go in. And it's funny, because I said to one of my pals the other day, I says to him, you know, something really big is about to happen when everyone stops believing in you. Because when I'd established this website, I was telling people, this is my thing, this is going to be huge. And all my friends and my family were like, oh, I hope it works out for you. Like, do you know what I mean? Everyone had lost faith in it. But I knew that regardless of all of that, it was going to be massive. And me and my friends, the day that I'd created the website, me and my friends had climbed a mountain. And after you climb a mountain, you're so, like, pumped up, like, life is great. And I turned around to him and I said, Murray, I said, this website is going to be huge. And he's like, oh, shut up and that, no way, and everything. And then within a year, 12 months later, 365 days, me and him were sitting. And by this point, the website was getting like 200,000 visitors a month or something.
Wow.
And I said to him, within like the 12 months, and I said to him, I told you this was going to be big, eh? And he's like, yeah, I think you did say that. And I did believe in you and stuff, you say. No, you never.
No, but it's what people are looking for right now. People are really wanting to get back in touch with understanding how to interpret signs for themselves, and understanding, like you said, oh, I see birds and I just think I'm really weird when I use it predictively.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand that there are people like you out there who write about this and who live this and who have, made a point of sharing this information with other people.
When I named Divination and Fortune Telling, I was sitting and I was writing down like my plan of what I was going to do, like the posts I was going to write, and I'd written the name for the first time. And when I wrote the name for the first time, someone on the TV had said those exact words, divination and fortune telling, as I was writing it. And it's a phenomenon. It comes under something called cladonism, where basically you hear a sign. That's what it means. And I posted about it, I think, on Instagram like a week ago or something. And people were like, oh my God, that happens to me. And I told them, I said, that's how I knew that was the right name, because I heard it as I was writing it. And they said, that happens to me all the time. And I never realized that happens to other people. The amount of people that were like, that happens to me is just unreal. And I said, yeah, because I know that it happens to other people because it happens to me, so it must happen to others, do you know? And there's even a name for it, do you know, it happens so often. But yeah, people are usually quite shocked when they realise that they're not the only ones that experience these phenomenons.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. That's opening people up to like their innate abilities, because I think a lot of people just either think that they can't do it, or that they're weird if they're picking up messages, or they don't have anybody to actually talk to about it.
Yeah, it's funny because one of my exes, his family were like psychic mediums, and he was always quite psychic, but he'd never went into doing that like professionally. And as he got older, he stopped seeing spirits and he stopped experiencing anything of that. So me and him got together, and I started to talk to him about like signs and stuff. And then he started to see them, and it happened too often. It was more than a coincidence for him. So he began to make decisions like based on these signs. And after about a year, he was standing in the shop and he thought to himself, oh, should I buy that? And he said that he heard a voice within him say, you should get that. But it was really loud and clear to him. And he phoned me and he's like, this sounds insane. He said, but something spoke within me, to me. He said, and I've not had that ever as an adult. He said, maybe when I was a child. He said, but as an adult. And he said, that's those signs. He said, it started happening frequently after that. And he said, that's because I was following these signs, watching those signs, with the thing from being spoken to.
Right. And you had a similar story about like closing yourself off to the signs for a little bit too, didn't you?
Yeah. After I had my daughter when I was 15, and I hid my pregnancy from my family till I was about 7.5 months pregnant.
Wow.
I never put on any weight because I wasn't eating anything. And my child's father, he wasn't another traveller, he was a gorger, and he was quite a bit older than me. And I knew that he would get into trouble if anyone knew about the pregnancy, so I hid it. And then my family found out, and I had my daughter, and it was a really traumatic experience. The entire thing was just this horrible, traumatic experience. And two things happened. One, I noticed that my abilities faded at that point. They began to fade away after all of that stress had happened. And I'd also actively decided that I was going to be like a normal person. I was going to go back to school. I went to school. I went to college. I'd got all of these qualifications. I'd even like won awards for my attendance, like all of these things. I'd volunteered for charity to get like work experience and stuff. So I had quite a lot going for me. And when I'd left the college, the careers advisor told me, you will get a job. She says, you'll get a job like easy as anything. Well, I went for nearly 5 years without a job. Like every Monday, I would apply for hundreds of jobs. And because I live at the capital, next to the capital, there's always jobs. If you live close to a capital city, there's always jobs going, but I could never, ever get a job. So, and I started to receive signs that it wasn't for me. So say I couldn't afford a computer, a laptop. So I would go down to the library and try to apply for these jobs on the library computer. On my way down, my library card would disappear. It would just vanish out of my pocket. I'd try to sign in online, couldn't sign in, couldn't print off applications. I would get to the post office and they would be closed randomly. It was just as though everything that I tried was failing. And other bad things were happening as well. Like my daughter was diagnosed with autism. Like I had like these failed relationships. Everything just constantly went wrong. And my family used to say to me, they used to say, that's a sign. You know, there's something better for you. There's something huge. There's something big. You're going to get something big. But because I was experiencing this like chronic bad luck, I was just like, no, I'm just doomed to suffer this horrible life. So one night I was lying in my bed and I could sense a spirit there. And I said to it, instead of being like afraid or whatever, I just spoke. I was like, send me a sign. I said, those were the magic words. I said, send me a sign. I need a sign because I need to know what to do. So the next again day, I had an appointment at the job centre, and I could have swore to God it was at 10:30, and I arrived there and they said, no, it's at 11:30. So I was like, what am I going to do for an hour? So I thought I'll go to the library. So I went to the library, and usually I'm not interested in like stories of other psychics or whatever. I find it quite like, some people find it quite shocking, but I find it quite boring. So I don't like to read like true life psychic stories or whatever. But there was this one book there, and it was called An Angel Called My Name. And the voice spoke to me, and it was like, get that book. And I was like, no, I'm not getting that book. Like, it looked cheesy as anything, the cover. And I was actually like going to walk away, but the voice was screaming at me, get that book, get that book, get that book. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get that book. So I got the book, and I took it out. I didn't read it till that night. So I started reading it. And the woman in the book had an identical story to me. She was brought up in a psychic family, but she wanted a proper job. So she went to Cambridge, and for years afterwards, she couldn't get a job until she started working for a psychic magazine. And now she's quite a famous like mind, body, spirit author. And the whole point in the story was that the signs were there, that that's what was meant to be for her, but she wasn't following them. And I thought, oh my God, like, this is why this is happening. And I went and set up as a professional psychic, and my life completely changed. Like, from that point, my life completely changed. Just everything, absolutely everything. I went from, like, me and my ex-boyfriend used to call it a penny diver. Like, if we seen a penny, we were diving to pick it up because we had no money. We had nothing. Do you know what I mean? And to go from that to go into this is just unbelievable, and it completely changed my life. If I had never took that book, I would never be doing this right now. It just completely changed my life.
Right. Wow. So it goes to show you, if you're not following the right path, then too, that you have to listen to the signs, and you have to, follow them wholeheartedly and not look back, because there's so much potential for change there.
It's funny because while I was unemployed, I was drunk at a party, and I was in a really, really bad point at the time. Like, my daughter had just been diagnosed with autism. I had this relationship had broke up. My ex had left me for someone else and married her, and all these horrible things had happened. And I'd met the psychic, and she says to me, you're going to be famous. I was like, no. She says, yes. She says, you'll have books, and you'll be known all over the world and all the rest of it. And I was like, yeah, right then. Like, honestly. And I actually went back to her, like, for a psychic reading years later, when I'd first like started my business and stuff. I'd went back to her, and now, like, she reads me every year. But at the time, I thought she was insane. I thought, this woman, and I tell her, I was like, no, I'm unemployed. I'm on the dole. Like, you know what I mean? And it's funny because I think, like, at the time, I had this horrible shame over my situation. I felt so ashamed. I would avoid people that I used to go to school with. I would just completely avoid them, because if you say to someone, I've been unemployed my whole life, they're going to think it's your fault. They're going to think that you're just sitting around not doing anything, like twiddling your thumbs or whatever. But I wanted a job, like, more than anything. I really, really wanted it, but it just wasn't meant to be for me. And it's funny because my family had always said to me, it's not, there's something else, there must be something else. And I'm like, no, there's not. I've completely lost any sort of faith in the whole process, and until that night, until I asked for the sign.
Right. And now you're here, and you are at, the top of your game.
Yeah.
It's like,
my website gets like 1 million visitors every year, 50,000 subscribers, and
wow,
all the rest of it. So yeah, completely different life.
Oh yeah. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure it feels good. And I'm sure it feels good to be, like, helping other people open up to their gifts as well, because you teach too, don't you?
Yeah, I'm mainly teach now.
Okay.
Because I think that when I was reading and teaching, it got to the point where my website got too much.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it all just got far too much for me. And then I was at the hospital because I've got like health problems and that as well. And I was at the hospital with like an inflammation in my stomach. And they told me at the time it was like stress induced. And my mum said to me, like, you need to pick something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to focus on like one thing, kind of thing. So yeah, but I love teaching. And it's funny because once you become a teacher, the things that you were ashamed of, you talk about, you're proud of. Do you know what I mean? Like, I used to be ashamed of being unemployed, of having my daughter when I was 15, of being in this like abusive relationship or whatever. And now, like, I tell people, I'm like, yeah, I was unemployed for that long, or nothing ever went right for me. I'm proud of that fact now, because life can change. Do you know what I mean? You can pull yourself out of absolutely anything. Absolutely anything. You need to want it, but this is strange, but you need to know that it's yours. Do you know what I mean? When I started reading again, by that point I knew, I says, this is what's meant to be, and I knew it. I knew it was going to work out. In my head there was no other option. There was no, I could get a job or whatever. It was not, this is what's meant to be, and I'm going to make it work. And I did. Thank God.
Right. Well, and part of it too is just choosing the direction that you're going in, and really focusing on what feels good to you, instead of like everybody saying, oh, because there are people who say our work is just stupid, that we're all charlatans, and the whole thing is, though, they're not experiencing that connection.
It's funny because I sometimes do lives like for on Facebook Lives in my private group for my students, and the one thing that they were asking is, what happens if you're doing a live or something and someone posts a negative comment, and to them it's this major like disappointment, this really painful experience. But I told them, I said, like, they're talking about your audience as well, because your audience are believers. So they're not going to read that and say, oh, this person's right, I should really get off this page. Do you know, right. It becomes a you against them. Do you know, they're more likely to want to stick up for you. And one of my students had actually, after it had happened to her, and I'd done the live, the next again week, she said to me, she was like, I've had more orders and stuff since that happened. Like,
oh wow,
more supportive since the whole experience of the guy coming on and attacking her. And the thing is that sometimes these things can happen to sort of to prepare you for other things. Do you know, when I first started like reading, when I first started blogging online, I can't spell. I've got really terrible like spelling. It's a lot better now, but back then it was really, really bad. And most of the people who brought me up can't read or write. Do you know, like, we were the first folk in our family, first generation, to not be working in fields, like to be going to school or whatever. So I'd went, and my first blog post was actually about Lenormand, and it was in like 2014 or something, so a long time ago. And I'd went and wrote this beginner's guide to Lenormand, and there was this guy who commented I'd spelt the word rider wrong, and I think I'd spelt it like AR instead of ER or something stupid like that. And he'd went and commented on it, and he was like, oh, you can't spell or whatever. And then me and him were in this private Facebook group, a membership group together, and he'd went and like commented on it as well in the group, like, and he'd messaged me. So he was really going for it. He'd messaged me and he said to me something like, people who post articles online are aligning themselves as being experts. And he said, you can't even spell, no one will ever take you seriously. Do you know what I mean? And that was the first time I'd ever posted a blog, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this random person online, it really was going for me, kind of thing. And it had the thought of not blogging anymore had sort of crossed my mind. Do you know what I mean? I thought, is this what it's going to be like? Am I going to get this negative feedback all of the time? And but I decided not to stop. I kept on going. And I look back now and I think I could have really allowed that man to discourage me. And now, like I said, over 1 million people every year come to my website, but I can't even remember the guy's name now. I can't even remember his name. And I could have made that major, like, life-changing decision based on some, like, ass on the internet who was trying to put me off. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, like, don't let other people do that, because there is a certain kind of people that will go for other people that way. And you don't want to change your life based on that.
Right. And that happens a lot in the spiritual community, unfortunately, where like you were saying, that's coming from a group that was geared towards Lenormand. Yeah. And for us, you know, I might, like, if I see something, I might say, hey, Lissa, you know, or something like that, but I'm not going to, like, rip you a new one.
Oh, yeah, this guy was really, really going for it. Really going for it.
And that seems to happen. I've seen that come up a few times in the past, like, 5 years in the tarot community, where there are, and I'm not sure if it's like to increase views or whatever, but, you know, some people have like big fights in the background, and I'm just like, this is spirituality. This is my relationship with God. I don't think that you, or like, not you, but somebody who's talking to me can judge that relationship with God and how I express it to people. Yeah.
Oh no, I know for a fact there are certain, we'll call them influencers, right? People in the community who have a lot of influence, who do go out of their way to start arguments with people. Do you know what I mean? And there's one person who had made the mistake of telling me that they'd done that for publicity, and they told me this years ago, and then tried to start something with me only recently.
Oh, no.
And I knew that he knew, because of my personality, I'm not just going to sit back and be like, oh, whatever. But I knew that he was doing it for that reason. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm not having this with you. I'm not giving you, like, anything.
Right.
Because I knew that it would attract too much attention towards this thing that they were working on. And I was like, nah.
Right. And it's also, each of us have our own lives that we're living, you know, and there are some people who were lucky enough to be able to just start their career and roll with it in tarot. And then there were some people who, you know, for myself personally, I've done a few different things, but tarot has been kind of like this, you know, outlet, and the spirituality and everything. It's really, like you said, it connects you with who you are.
Yeah.
And
it's funny. It's funny you would say that, because for about a year, I'd got really into creating stuff. And when you create stuff, it's mentally, physically, spiritually draining. It's so hard. People think that creating courses is easy. It's not. It's so much work. And I'd wrote like 4 ebooks in 1 year, created these courses. I'd really got tired. Do you know what I mean? And one night I was lying in my bed, and I was this was actually quite recently. I was lying in my bed and I was thinking, like, oh, I'm so tired from doing this and so drained. And I'd had this dream. I'd sort of, like, after the dream, I had this dream that basically this spirit came to me and it said to me, I showed you what to do and you act like you forgot about it. And I was like, what was that all about? And then I woke up and I was thinking about it, and I thought, I've not seen a sign in a while. Do you know, I was that, or felt spiritually inclined in a while. I was that driven, that focused on getting this done, that it's like I was only connected to that. Nothing else around me mattered. Do you know, I'd get like the odd sign like here and there or whatever, but I was just really going for it. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, that's true. I've not felt that connection in a while. So, and since I have, I've been like so much happier. Do you know, I don't feel stressed. I don't feel under pressure to perform constantly, do you know, to be working constantly. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to play the Xbox today. Like,
right. No, I'm so glad that you brought that up though, because seriously, people think that what we do is just kind of like light and airy and everything like that. But when you're really focused on creating courses and working with people, you know, it can, and especially if you're not like, I've been known to not keep my boundaries very, you're really good, aren't you, about, you know,
yeah.
about your messenger and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I usually keep Facebook Messenger uninstalled on my phone, and that's so that, because I think that when you allow people to casually message you, it sets up a different kind of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I will say like email people that email me back or whatever, but when you go to something that people use daily, habitually, they jump into it every 15 minutes or whatever, it does create this different kind of relationship between us. And I didn't used to be like that. I used to let whoever just message me, and 99% of the time, what the people that were doing it never bought anything. Do you know what I mean? They wouldn't buy anything, but they would just casually like ask me questions, and I used to if someone emailed me asking me a question and I didn't answer it, it would eat me alive like all day until I messaged them back. And things had happened that I realised that it was affecting me too much. Or any time that I'd done something for someone for free, something bad would happen between me and them. Do you know, it was like there was something wrong with the relationship or whatever. So now, yeah, I am very strict on the kinds of relationships that I form with people.
Right, right. Because what we do is work. It's
Yeah,
spirit work. And it has value, or else people wouldn't be asking us for it.
Yeah,
and
it does, honestly. And it's too much work if you're messaging people, and because it creates this emotional baggage on you. And now I have anxiety if I install Messenger on my phone, or if I'm even on the computer and it's opened, I have anxiety because I'm thinking, oh, people can contact me, when I'm already like stressed to the max. Do you know what I mean?
Right, right. And so by doing the teaching more, you're kind of controlling the flow, which is really good.
Yeah, and I think that a relationship that you have with your students is different from a relationship you have with your clients.
Oh yeah.
You know, if your client's having a bad day, it's like, even if you're a predictive reader, they begin to lean on you for emotional support, whereas your students tend not to lean on you for emotional support.
Right.
Do you know, their kind of support your student wants is very matter of fact. I have this issue, what is it, like, do you know, whereas like students will seekers will try to offload on you a lot, and it happens quite a lot with psychics as well, because I think that people that are given readings send off a different kind of like energy, do you know what I mean, from the general public. And folk look for that. Damaged people look for that energy. Do you know?
I know exactly what you mean. And it's really interesting too to try and flip it to empowering people to learn how to read things for themselves.
Yeah.
Then they don't have that desperate energy, and then they're taking responsibility for themselves, and they're empowering themselves to find the signs and symbols for themselves, instead of saying, Lisa, can you tell me what I should do? I don't want to make this decision. I'll let you make the decision. Then you help them make the decision, but you tell them X, Y, and Z has to happen too. They forget about X, Y, and Z, and they're like, why didn't it turn out the way you told me it would? And it's just like,
Yeah, I teach my students there are different kinds of outcomes. There are outcomes for any type of reading, especially tarot reading. A lot of people say they'll get the 8 of Wands, and they're like, oh, what does that mean? And I'll say, it means that they're going to contact you. And then they're like, but are we going to be together? And then you're like, well, you'll know after that 8 of Wands. Even as a predictive reader, you can only see so far. Do you know what I mean? Or you can be blocked from seeing an outcome for whatever reason. Do you know what I mean? It's not that there are some outcomes that you can say that's a definite yes or that's a definite no. And one thing about being a reader is that you have to have the confidence to be able to say to your clients, oh, by the way, I don't know anything past this, or I can't see past this. Do you know? Is that it's always better to be truthful.
Yeah.
You should always be truthful if you can't see the outcome or whatever. But you should trust in your ability to read. So if you can't see an outcome, it's not because you're a shit reader or whatever, it's for the simple fact that you're not getting one. So you have to have the confidence to be able to tell the difference. Can you not interpret the cards, or can you not interpret the situation that's going to happen?
Right. Well, or some people will say, oh, is he going to call me? Are we going to see each other again? Everything points to yes, but he's calling you to get back his stuff from before or something like that. Not you, but the client. And then, you know, so they're disappointed that it didn't turn out. Or I've had people say, are we going to be together? And I say, well, there's this issue about jealousy, and you have to do something about that. Oh no, I want still to get flowers from people, other people besides him. Well, sorry, then it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. But ultimately, I mean, what we do is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And especially teaching people to do it themselves is really powerful.
Yeah, because anyone can perform readings. I honestly believe that anyone can learn how to perform readings. I think that there are some people that being psychic is like a talent, right? So you're talented in the sense that you get people that are talented in, say, piano. They pick it up straight away. Do you know? Everyone can learn, but not everyone is naturally talented. And I think that psychic ability is the same. So, like, some people are naturally talented. Everyone can learn, but some people are born better at it than others. Or even like maths.
Right.
Some people can pick it up easy. But most things, anyone can learn. But they require more effort or more commitment to it.
Right. But like you said, though, I mean, if they're learning how to use their own natural gifts, because I feel like some of us are stronger in one area and some of us are stronger in another area. But when you have those cards laying down on the table and then you allow whatever else to come through to you, then it's expanding the whole reading in a way.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why you should live divination as a lifestyle. Because if you live it as a lifestyle, working on it is not a chore for you. Mm-hmm. So say, like, I'll have people who contact me and they'll say things like, oh, I'd read in a book or whatever that I've got to do these like yoga poses every day to be able to increase my psychic ability, and I'm finding it hard, or it's not part of my life. And I'm like, well, if you can't incorporate that into your life, what is the point? Do you know, you need something and that's why I always tell my seekers to use signs, because using signs is like a conversation. Do you know what I mean? It's just like having a conversation. And the more that you use signs, the more your abilities increase, because spirit opens itself up to you more while you're continuing that conversation. And it's easy. Do you know what I mean? It's super easy. It's something that anyone can do it.
Right.
It doesn't require effort, which makes it easier to incorporate it into your life.
Right. And I think people too, when they get like these yoga poses, or when somebody tells them they have to be a vegan or this or that or the other thing, then they block themselves from actually seeing the signs that keep showing up for them, because they're like, oh, well, I ate some meat, or I had some sugar, or I didn't do my yoga pose, but I got this message. Must not be a message.
Mm-hmm. I think as well is that it can cause you, there's a lot of things that I just read psychic development groups, and I think that is so person-centered. Do you know what I mean? Things like yoga, I think, are very person-centered. You're focusing on your body, and you're not focusing on spirits trying to talk to you or what your dreams mean or whatever. And for your development, you have to, it's not just about the things that are inside you. You have to look at other things that are going on. It's like having a conversation with yourself. Do you know, like yoga is like a conversation with yourself, whereas science is a combination with spirit. So what one do you want to have?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So definitely. If you could tell people, like, what is the best advice that you could give to somebody if they feel like they want to pursue like working with spirit and working with signs, like what would you say is your best advice?
You can never ask for confirmation too many times.
Okay.
A lot of people think that if they ask for confirmation that something is a sign, that either it's not really a sign or they're going to stop getting signs or something bad is going to happen. People are under this impression that they need to be believers all the time and they can't be skeptical, do you know, and or it's going to offend something spiritually. And I think that the idea sort of comes from, if you look at like Christianity, the story of Job, do you know, there was a time when he wasn't a believer and he paid for it. So people have this sort of this built-in resistance towards asking for confirmation, but they need confirmation. And they'll sit to themselves and say, oh, was that a sign? Wasn't that a sign? They'll really, really worry about it. But the thing is that Spirit's not going to get offended if you ask for more than one sign. What difference does it make? So I'll see a sign, like I swear to God, even like I'll live this life, right? And I'll see a sign and I will for a split second question it. I'll think, is that all in my head? And then I'll see something else. And then I'll see something else. Do you know, you're not only going to, it doesn't play tricks on you that way. Do you know, so having confidence in the fact that you can ask for confirmation is probably one of the biggest things that's going to make the difference. You don't have to be a believer for it to work, for it to be true.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Because a lot of times too, though, I tell my like clients, I say, hey, let's not ask the same question again because we already got an answer on that. But if you want to look at something else, but if they're taking the initiative to ask the universe for a sign, then like you said, even if they falter just for a moment and they say, oh, was that like a trick of my imagination or whatever, then yeah, the universe is like, here you go, here's another one, and just in case you missed that one, here's another one. It's not going to let you go astray.
Yeah, it's funny because I had this opportunity, and it was a big opportunity a few years ago. It was to do with like working on TV and stuff. And I knew in my intuition that it was wrong, and I'd been receiving signs that it was wrong and not to go for it. But I was in this really bad situation at the time, and I needed the money, and it was basically either I take this opportunity or I have to move out my house. And the sign that I was getting was a lotus, right? So I was seeing lotuses everywhere. I was seeing them like on wallpaper. I'd be at the market and I'd see like a picture of one. And I decided that I was going to go to a reader because I just was getting all these signs that I was doing the right thing, not taking the opportunity. But because it was such a life-changing thing, it was really stressing me out. So I said, right, I'm going to go to a reader, the same reader who's read me before, and ask her what she thinks. And on the way to the reading, I seen a road sign and someone had spray painted lotus over it. And like the words, not a picture, just like the words, like it was someone's name or whatever. And when I'd got to the reading, she said to me, she just started, I never told her, because I never tell her, I never told her, I was just, oh, just read me. And the first things that she said, she was like, don't go for it. She said, but you know not to go for it, eh? And I said, yeah. And I never took that opportunity. So I'm glad now I know more about it. I look back and I think I'm so happy that I never took that, because it might have even involved like relocating to a different country and everything. Do you know what I mean? And I look back now and I think, oh, But I'd asked for so much confirmation from that thing. I'd got the reading, I'd literally seen it on a sign, on a road sign,
Right.
you know what I mean? And I'd seen it in different ways.
Right. Right. But I like it too that you said we're all kind of questioning sometimes. So it's not wrong for any of us, even no matter if you're a teacher or if you've been healing people for, 30 years or whatever, to reach out to somebody else who's a professional and you say, hey, can you read me? Because we often also have things that, yeah, that we need validation or proof.
And it's funny because doubt usually happens over the positive things. So say if I get a sign that something's going to be great, really positive, I just know that it's going to be really positive. It's those things we tend to doubt. Or readings that look too good to be true. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's those things that we tend to doubt, as opposed to the more negative things. And I think that doubt is okay, because if you have doubt, then you know that you've explored all avenues. Do you know what I mean? You've doubted it, and then you've seen something else, and then you've seen something else. And because I've got, like, in my astrology, I've got a stellium, I've got like 6 planets in Capricorn or something.
Oh, wow.
So I am super, like, I'm determined, but I'm also a bit, like, skeptical. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. How much energy and effort and hard work and how you've put everything together.
Yeah.
And climbed mountains for yourself. So definitely. Well, I'm going to wrap it up now. And again, you can find Lissa Boswell's work at divination and fortunetelling.com, and also readlenormand.com. And you have some really good freebies and stuff too, don't you?
Yeah, I give away a lot of guides and things.
Okay, cool.
I have like beginner's guides for tarot and beginner's guides for Lenormand as well on my websites. And it just basically tells you, like, if you know absolutely nothing, if you're a beginner and you know nothing, you can go on there. Because a lot of people, when they first start, they tend to worry about if they're missing something out. Is there more to it than what they know? So that's why I give away those guides.
Good. Yeah, that's perfect. That's really generous of you. Definitely. So very good. Well, thanks again. It was so lovely and wonderful to chat with you and to finally get the time to meet you and have a talk. So
Thank you.
Thank you. And for everybody else, you can find Lissa's links down below, and please like and share this video. Thanks. Have a good day. This was Sue Ellis-Saller for spiritualbusinessspotlight.com.